The war between the northern and southern states of America has been called the defining mark of the history of our country. What America is today is indelibly related to what transpired between the years 1860 and 1865. There are many written records of the events, but no electronic records could ever have been made. This, then, in connection with the Rome Area History Museum and the National Creative Society, creates one of the most unique historical events that took place in that time frame. And ironically, it had very much to do with the city of Rome, Georgia. It is likely that this event saved the city from almost certain destruction by fire. If you had tuned it in on radio, it might have sounded like this.
Today is May 2nd, 1863, and news from the war fronts indicate that battles are taking place in Port Gibson, Mississippi, with a loss of about 1,150 Confederate soldiers. In LaGrange, Arkansas, with only a few deaths and missing soldiers. However, today's big news comes from Chancellorsville, Virginia, where a monstrous-sized battle is taking place. Latest reports indicate 1,512 Northern troops killed, with 5,000 missing, and 1,581 Southern troops killed and 2,000 missing. Both Northern and Southern armies are suffering nearly 10,000 each wounded. How Chancellorsville will end is simply not known at this time. Here in the Rome area, all is quiet, and the war seems to be a very remote action from our point of view. Wait, I've just been handed a report. We've gotten word that a unit of Union soldiers might be making its way into this area. For more on this story, let's go live to Gadsden, Alabama.
Here in Gadsden, it's official. Yankee troops have come into this town on the Coosa River. There appears to be no fighting or any desire on the part of the troops to take the town. It's as if they're just passing through. This, however, is an ominous situation for Rome, for word is they intend to raid Rome, burn the city, and destroy the noble cannon factory. If successful, these troops are said to be headed for the Western and Atlantic rail line between Chattanooga and Atlanta, somewhere around Kingston or Calhoun, and would destroy the tracks and the bridges and cut the lifeline between those two cities, which could have disastrous effects on the war effort here in the South. Word is these Yankee troops are led by an Ohio Colonel Abel Streight, also known as Straight's Raiders. Said to be 2,000 strong with some artillery, this formidable force seemingly could not be stopped because there simply are no Southern troops available anywhere in this area to stop them. Things certainly do not look good for an unprepared and undefended Rome, Georgia. When these troops will get to Rome is not known, but for now, the outlook is not good for the South.
Ladies and gentlemen, the news for Rome, Georgia is not good. We now have definite word that an armed force of approximately 2,000 Union soldiers on horseback with some artillery is now making its way out of Gadsden, Alabama, and it has just 60-some miles to go before entering Rome. As we all know, Rome has little or no defenses. All able-bodied men are away at the war front, many in Chancellorsville, Virginia, this second day of May, 1863, where a furious battle rages, with a tremendous loss of men on both sides of the fighting. How can Rome protect itself if, in fact, this raiding party approaches our city at some unknown time in the next 24 hours? We put that question to a man we talked to on Broad Street, and he said,
"We'll burn the bridges down. They're all wooden. They'll burn fast, and them Yankees will never get in this city for sure."
Interesting comment. But wouldn't that leave Romans pretty much stranded if we isolated ourselves behind burned bridges? Let's go back to our reporter in Gadsden, Alabama, to hear more about this breaking story.
They've come and gone. We're talking about Straight's Raiders. Nearly 2,000 men on horseback approached from Cullman, Alabama, across the Sand Mountain and entered through Attala, Alabama, and into Gadsden. We talked with Miss Elijah Sampson, who lives on the main route from the west, and she said her family watched them come through. The widow Sampson's home is across from the flat river bottom of Black Warrior Creek, which is terribly flooded this time of year. The troops apparently made their way across the flooded creek bed via the bridge and then burned the bridge down, leaving only 2 sharpshooters just so citizens could not put the fire out. The bridge is gone now, and anybody coming behind these raiding troops would surely have a hard time crossing this much water. Is there help on the way? One source told me he thought General Nathan Bedford Forrest was in hot pursuit of these raiders, but that just seems like a story too good to be true. Rome, Georgia should hope that rumor is true. Otherwise, we may see a bonfire as big as the city of Rome when these raiders pass through the unprotected city of 10,000 people on the Etowah, Oostenaula, and Coosa Rivers in Georgia. This has been a live report from Gadsden, Alabama.
This is the story on this second day of May in the year of 1863. Nearly 2,000 Yankee troops are coming from Alabama, headed for Gadsden and North Georgia with the intention of destroying the noble cannon factory in Rome, setting fire to our warehouses and storehouses, and then burning our downtown area. After Rome, they plan to cut the vital rail line between Chattanooga and Atlanta, the most important supply route in the entire Confederate States, and who can stop them? There are no troops here, or even in the area, that can erase this threat. And Rome's citizens are reduced to children or elderly men and women, with all our fighting-age men away on war duty. We've been getting rumors of a force of Confederate troops that may be coming up behind Straight's raiding force, but even so, they couldn't be strong enough to stop that large Yankee group. Let's get more on this story by going back to our reporter in Gadsden, Alabama.
Help is on the way. It's been confirmed here in Gadsden that Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest, with a force of about 400 men and 1 piece of artillery, is on the way to Rome, Georgia. Whether this smaller group can help stop the onslaught of nearly 2,000 men is doubtful, but at least it could slow down Straight's approach to Rome. We get confirmation of how this took place from 16-year-old Emma Sampson, daughter of widowed Miss Elijah Sampson, whose home is between Attala and Gadsden. Just in front of her house is a swollen and overflowing stream known as Black Warrior Creek, giving the appearance that no army dare to try to cross the swiftly flowing waters. But General Forrest troops did that, thanks to the help of Emma Sampson. She's here at our microphone now. Emma, how did you get them across?
It was easy. I just showed the general where it ain't deep out there. It just looks deep. He didn't believe me at first, but then I showed him on the legs of the cows that the water didn't even hardly come up to their knee joints. And when he seen that, he said, "Come on, boys, let's cross here." They had to walk through the water because them bad old Yankees had burned the bridge and nobody couldn't hardly get across.
A real heroine here, barely 16 years old, but smart enough to move an army. That's welcome news for Rome. By the way, there was some shooting here. We're getting details, and we'll give you that in our next report. This has been a live report from Gadsden, Alabama.
In the breaking news story we've been following today, May 2nd, 1863, we've just learned of a shooting incident in Gadsden, Alabama, just as Confederate forces led by General Nathan Bedford Forrest attempted to cross rain-swollen Black Warrior Creek. Thanks to the help of a 16-year-old girl named Emma Sampson, he was able to do it. Let's go back to our reporter in Gadsden.
It happened so fast and was so unexpected that no one could tell us exactly how, but we'll set the scene. A short while ago, a force of nearly 2,000 Union raiders on horseback crossed the Black Warrior Creek Bridge here in Gadsden as they made their way to burn Rome, Georgia. Once across the bridge, they set fire to the huge wooden structure, and now it's just pilings burned down to the water level. Before leaving for Rome, Colonel Streight left 2 sharpshooters hidden along the creek bank. Soon, General Nathan Bedford Forrest approached the area only to find the bridge burned, foiling his attempt to catch up with the Yankee colonel and try to stop him. Spotting a young girl in front of her home, he asked for help. Miss Emma Sampson then climbed up on General Forrest's horse and rode behind the general to show him how he might get his army across the swollen waters. Suddenly, from nowhere, shots rang out. One minie-ball struck Confederate Lieutenant Robert Turner in the chest, and he was immediately killed, falling from his horse. One bullet aimed at General Forrest went through the skirt of Miss Sampson as she rode behind the general astride his horse. Immediately, Southern troops killed the 2 sharpshooters, but not before concerned General Forrest delivered Miss Sampson back safely to her family and declared her a real heroine. Were you scared, Emma?
Well, I didn't have time to get scared. I heard the shots and felt something whiz right past my leg. It went through my school dress. Before I knowed it, them fellers was shot dead. Poor Mr. Turner, I reckon he didn't make it. General Forrest asked if we'd give him a Christian burial in our little cemetery. We're might proud to have a real hero buried with our family. My daddy's buried out there. He sure would like that.
Thank you, Emma Sampson. Folks, as it gets toward the afternoon, Straight's raiders are headed straight for Rome. General Forrest's smaller force is right behind them, and there's no telegraph to let us warn Rome. We could send word upriver on a packet boat, but it would take 2 days, and by then Rome would be in ashes. So I reckon the people of Rome are going to get a real surprise.
Thank you for those reports from Gadsden, Alabama. Folks, it's beginning to look very serious. You'll want to stay tuned to this breaking news story, and we'll keep you posted with more reports.
We're back here in Rome, Georgia on this May 2nd, 1863, and we've just learned that a raiding force of Yankee troops numbering nearly 2,000 is indeed headed for Rome, and right now they're probably in the vicinity of Cedar Bluff, Alabama. But hot on their heels, however hopelessly outnumbered, is Confederate cavalry officer General Nathan Bedford Forrest. You know, he's said to be the South's secret weapon in this war. Will General Forrest be able to slow down or hamper Straight's superior force before they do the ultimate damage by burning our city and destroying the noble cannon factory here? Can they be stopped before cutting the vital rail line between Atlanta and Chattanooga at some remote spot like Kingston or Adairsville or Dalton? Well, this much we do know. Both armies have made it across a swollen creek in Gadsden, Alabama, and both are headed here. But how will Rome know they're coming? Well, we get a hint on that by going back to Gadsden and our reporter there.
We've just witnessed something strange here. A rural postman who goes out each day in his horse-drawn buggy and delivers mail that comes in by steamboat has just come back from his daily route and a visit to the grist mill to take corn for grinding, located out in the country. We know his horse is tired now and he's had a long day of work, but as he approached the Coosa River from the south side to ride to the little rope-drawn ferry across the Gadsden, he saw smoke in the distance and yelled to those on shore asking what happened.
This is the man, John Wisdom. He lived in Hokes Bluff, Alabama, which is a neighboring community on the Coosa River. He had been coming in all morning from the grist mill. He had a sack of corn in his buggy, and he saw this strange smoke lingering over the little community of Gadsden. And over at the sawmill, he knew a man named George, and he says, "George, what's happened while I was gone?" And George explained that the Yankees had come. Well, John Wisdom thought he was crazy. All the fighting up in Virginia, out in Arkansas and Mississippi, and all of a sudden there's talk about Yankees being in Gadsden, Attala, and Hokes Bluff. But he really got a lesson when he saw that the little ferry boat that he used for his buggy each day had been burned, and he had no way to get back across the river. But he knew his mother lived in Rome, and when he learned what had happened and what might happen to Rome, he said, "I'm off to Rome to warn my mama and all the folks that live there." You see, it's a 65-mile ride to Rome. His horse is already worn out, and nobody can ride like that except maybe the cowboys out west.
Well, I'm gonna tell Mama to get up there and get prepared. I'll just have to beg and borrow horses till I get there. Move back, mind you, I gotta get going. Come up here, horse, we're going to Rome.
That was John Wisdom, and folks, I don't think there's any way he can ride 65 miles to Rome in time to help. But he's gone down that little road toward Mount Weissner. He's taking no chances mixing with them soldier boys. He's gone the back roads to get to Rome. That's your report from Gadsden.
Can John Wisdom possibly ride 65 miles on horseback and buggy and save the city of Rome? And if he makes it, how can he save the city? We'll put reporters out to cover his strange journey, so stay tuned for more details on this breaking news story.
Lots of news this quiet day in North Georgia. Early this morning, we reported that a huge battle was underway at the village of Chancellorsville, Virginia, but that most of the war between the states in this southeastern area was taking place in Arkansas and Mississippi. Our area, without any major battles of any kind, sort of seemed forgotten. And then it broke. News of a raiding party coming down out of North Alabama into Gadsden and headed for Rome. With approximately 2,000 troops, it would appear Rome was doomed, even though there had been no war activity anywhere near here. Just as we were about to give up hope, there appeared, as if out of nowhere, a strong force led by Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest, who hoped to stop the Yankees before they reached Rome. Then we learned that Rome's one hope was to get a warning of all this, and that warning could only get here on horseback. No telegraph connected our towns, and river traffic took much too long. So a rural mailman named John Wisdom set off on horse and buggy, headed 65 miles to Rome. We caught up with him at the crossroads of Natville, some 22 miles below Gadsden. How's it going, John?
Ain't going too well, son. Most folks don't believe me when I ask for a fresh horse. They say there ain't no Yankees anywhere around here, so they won't let go of a fresh animal. Mine don't give out. It's been too far today. He's got to get some rest. I was talking to a widow Nancy Hanks over in Natville. She said she understood, and she said she'd loan me her pony, only he's lame. She made me promise, though, I'd ride him only 5 miles, and I'm a man of my word. In 5 more miles, I'll just have to find me a fresh horse. Out of my way, I got to get to Rome. Hey, it's a long ways from here, and this pony's lame. I'll stop in 5 miles at Goshen.
What a day for news. Will John Wisdom complete his ride? And what about all those troops camped over there at Cedar Bluff? Stay tuned. It's breaking news all day on this station.
These reports will continue. Stay tuned. This is a recreation of news about 2 days in the war between the states, May 2nd and 3rd, 1863.
The war between the states has come to Rome. At least it is on the way. It is the evening of May 2nd, 1863, and here's how it stacks up. In an otherwise quiet region of the southeast that has yet to see any Civil War action, suddenly it is all around us. A raiding party of 2,000 is headed to Rome, now camped out at Cedar Bluff, Alabama, ready to move in tomorrow and destroy our city, our cannon factory, our railroads, and ultimately the Western and Atlantic Railroad near Kingston and Adairsville. This could cripple the Confederacy. Colonel Streight, commanding the Union Yankee forces, has sent Captain Milton Russell and 200 of his men as an advance party to Rome to lock down the city and to wait for the larger force tomorrow. Unknown to Colonel Streight, General Nathan Bedford Forrest, the best cavalry officer in the entire war, is at his heels with just 400 men, and he has every intention of stopping Streight. Meanwhile, Rome is getting ready for bed without a hint of all that is coming, and no preparedness. About 35 miles away, a rural mailman named John Wisdom, whose mother lives in Rome, is on his way on horseback, racing to warn Rome of what's happening. Our reporter last talked to him as he arrived at Goshen on the borrowed lame pony of the widow Nancy Hanks. Our reporter asks him, "Mr. Wisdom, what do you propose to do now?"
I've worked out a deal with Sampson Johnson. He's lending me a fresh horse and plans to ride 11 miles with me, the home of Reverend Joel Weems near Spring Garden. Reverend Weems fixing supper for us and saddling a pair of mules. You know, that way Simpson can ride on with me and bring back some of these animals I'm borrowing. Right now, though, I ain't got time to talk anymore. Got to get to Rome, warn them folks, the Yankees are coming.
The saga continues. Rome is still the target, and Wisdom is still a couple of hours out, and 200 armed men under Captain Milton Russell are nearing the Georgia border headed for Rome. In Rome's history, since its founding in 1834, there has just never been a day like this. Everybody's heading for Rome, and there's no telling what will happen when they all get here. Let's set the stage. It is nearing midnight, and nearly 2,000 exhausted Yankee troops and artillery are catching some shut-eye at an encampment near Cedar Bluff, Alabama. Early in the morning, they plan to move into Rome and set fire to buildings, homes, offices, warehouses, and the Noble Cannon Factory. When that's done, they'll start in on the railroads between Chattanooga and Atlanta. Meanwhile, some 400 Confederate cavalrymen are approaching that camp in Cedar Bluff to surprise Colonel Abel Streight. The 400 are led by General Nathan Bedford Forrest. Now, approaching Cave Springs, a lone Alabama mail carrier named John Wisdom, who who has been riding a variety of borrowed horses and mules all the way from Gadsden since 3 p.m. in the afternoon. He's coming to warn Rome and wake them up and tell them that Yankee forces are nearing the town. Our reporter is standing by at the home of John Baker, 1 mile south of Cave Spring, to meet John Wisdom. Here's our reporter at Baker's home.
Well, here he comes. We've been standing by for his arrival, and he and the Reverend Joel Weems are on 2 mules plodding their way to Mr. Baker's house just south of Cave Spring. Wisdom plans to send Reverend Weems back home with those 2 mules and get a fresh mount here from Baker. According to Mr. Baker, he'll send him to the home of a man named Jones somewhere in Vans Valley at 6 Mile. Jones intends to loan him a final horse to ride to Rome. He'll come in by the old Cave Spring Road and cross into town into what is known as South Broad Street Bridge. It's a wooden covered bridge, and once over the river, Wisdom will have completed a 65-mile ride in approximately 11 hours to successfully warn Rome that the Yankee forces are coming. But wait, there's a problem. Wisdom's horse has just stumbled, and it appears that he might not make it. Stay tuned. We'll give you the details in our next report.
Wow, tough going. Seems like there's a story in history about Paul Revere riding about 9 miles to warn of the British coming back in the Revolutionary War. But John Wisdom, he may make it for 65 miles. What a story! What a day for news! Stay tuned for further details.
We're recreating a unique event from the war between the states. Will John Wisdom make it? Will the city of Rome be burned? Or will General Forrest save the day? Stay tuned. More reports coming up.